Greetings metalheads, welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today we're going to be reviewing an album by German death metal band Atrocity, who are about to release their new album called the Okkult 3. This is a trilogy and it's a fantastic album. It's about to be released on the 20th of January 2023. Now the band originally formed back in 1985 under the original name Instigators, which were more of a hardcore, grindcore band. But the band in 1989 changed to Atrocity and released the EP Blue Blood, which is a fantastic EP. This was followed by the band's debut album called Hallucinations, which is based on drugs. This was released on Massacre Records back in 1990, and this album for me was a great album. It kind of reminded me of Death, Morbid Angel, Atheist, the American Florida death metal bands, but for a German band this was a fantastic debut album. Now the band released their second album in 1992 for Roden Records. It was called Torstenschnatz. It's very hard to pronounce, but it means A Longing for Death, which is a fantastic album, slightly different from the first album, a little bit more brutal, but a fantastic second album. 1994 saw the band release their third album, which is called Blut, which is blood in German, and was based on Dracula. This was a brilliant album, and I remember seeing this band live with Obituary back in the day. Fantastic tour, great album, very interesting, very gothic and very dark. Now, the band are fronted by frontman Alex Krull, who's the only original member in this lineup now. He formed the band back in the day, fantastic singer. He's got a very dark, brutal vocal range, and he's a fantastic singer. Really fits the music, and like I say, this new album is called Okkult 3, and I think it's one of the best albums they've done. Now, the band have had some various lineup changes over the years, but the current lineup is Alex Krull on vocals. We've got Joris Nijgenis on drums, Mickey Richardson on guitars. We also have Andrea Nasser on bass guitar, and drummer Luc Gerbart on drums. Now, Atrocity are a fantastic band. They're really brutal. They've done some fantastic albums, but they've also got a lot of dark elements, a lot of goth music in there. And as we know, Alex Krull's also involved with Leaves' Eyes. So there's the goth element here, the death metal, and it really works well for this band. A fantastic German thrash death metal band. Really brutal, does some fantastic songs. If you like the band's first Okkult album, the second album, then you're really going to enjoy this. This is probably the best album of the three. It's brutal. I'm not sure how many more albums they're going to do, how many more trilogies, any more albums released to the Okkult. But there's one thing for sure, this band, Take No Prisoners, this album is fantastic. It's very brutal, really well put together, really well produced, done by Alex Krull in his own studio. And the album was recorded at Master Sound Studios, which belongs to Alex Krull. Now, the sound effects were done by Katie Holliday, and the artwork by Stefan Hellermann. Now, I really like the artwork for this album. It's got like Satan, the devil above, and some worshippers below him. It's a really dark cover, but it's really fantastic and really interesting, and it certainly goes with the album. So the album's released as a 2 CD media book. Obviously you get the album, and then you get the second album, which is all instrumental versions of the songs. So there's no vocals by Alex, but it's all brutal instrumental versions of the album songs. It's also released on vinyl, coloured vinyl, and a box set. So if you want to check out any of these, please do. Now, it's also released as a box set, which comes with 2 CDs media book. You get a flag, a patch, 2 postcards, and a signed autograph card. So if you're a collector, you really got to check out this box set. The album also features some guest vocals. We've got Elena from Leaves' Eyes, and we've got Zoe from Cradle of Filth. Now, the album features 10 songs, and the songs in the albums are Desecration of God, Fire Ignites, Born to Kill, Bleeding, The Act Blasphemy, Priest of Plague. We've got also Faces from Beyond, Lycanophobia, Krapaka, and another song which is in German, so I can't pronounce the title. It's very hard to say. I think it's called Tells Sofferbrush. I'm not 100% sure about how you say it, but it's a German song. Now, when I listen to this album, it kind of reminds me of the first 2 albums mixed together, but more brutal, a bit more technical. And it's really well put together. The songs are really brutal. There's some really heavy guitar playing, but it's not all blast beats. There's some really good heavy chugging guitar riff in here, and that's what I like about death metal. It's not all about the speed. The chugginess is just as powerful as the speed songs. It's a very orchestral and bombastic album. There's plenty to offer on this album. It's very symphonic in places, and it's really brutal. And the vocals, the harmony vocals of the females really do shine through. So it's a really good album. Gothic, dark, death metal, with a lot of bombastic parts. Fantastic album. And we're really going to give this album 5 out of 5. It's probably the best album done in a long time. But Atrocity are a great band. This proves that the band can still churn out really good songs after so many years. Brutal vocals, fantastic guitar playing and drumming as well. Some great blast beats there if you're a drummer. So it's a brilliant album, and the songs that I really like on this album are Desecration of God, Fire Ignites, Born to Kill. This happens to be one of my favourite songs on the album. It's just really well thought out, some really heavy guitar chugging riff in here, but it's a really powerful and brutal song. Now the next song, Bleeding for Blasphemy, is another brutal song. It's really well put together, some heavy brutal riffing, some brutal vocals as well by Alex. He's really going for it on this song. So it's a brilliant song, really good headbanging song, and this song is going to go down fantastic live, I can see this for sure. In places, this album kind of reminds me of Malevolent Creation, the brutality of the first two albums, and maybe some of the later albums, but there's definitely some Malevolent Creation in there. Bit of Cannibal Corpse, a bit of Morbid Angel, but it's very brutal album. But it's a fantastic album, really well put together. So this is a great album, well worth checking out. Now the next song, Malicious Succubus, is more of a dark gothic song, but it's still got the elements of death metal. It's a really good song, not as brutal as the other stuff, but it's still brutal in its own rights. Another great song from this album is a song called Faces from Beyond, a fantastic brutal song. Like I said, Alex is really going for it. The band are really well tight. They wrote a really fantastic album. There's not one bad song on this album. So if you really want to hear Atrocity at the best, this is one of the best albums I've done in a long time. Not saying Okkult 1 and 2 is any worse. They're really good albums, but this is the brutalist album of the 3 trilogy. Let's hope they do some really good in the next album. So if you want to hear something brutal, it's from Germany, and it's got that Florida or death metal vibe, then you really need to check out this band. Especially if you're a fan of bands like Malevolent Creation. So, great album, check it out. It's released on the 20th of January on Massacre Records. It's called the Okkult 3 from the band Atrocity. Thanks for watching, Metalheads. Be safe. Cheers for watching.